Hello, welcome to the channel, Retired Don't Give Up. I've been cooped up in my office in front of my computer for a few days now doing editing. The difference is, in Canada, it's -20 and snowing. But here in Thailand, it's 29 degrees and sunny. And I found a new road up into the mountains. So let's gear up and go for a ride. Finding this literally in the middle of nowhere perked my interest and caused me to stop and investigate. There are 4 statues, obviously military. 2 men standing, 1 sitting behind a stone monument with a Thai flag flying and a sign that said "Free Thai." There was a 4th man crouching off to the side as if quietly observing in a covertly way. Everything was written in Thai and my phone had no signal to ironically ask Siri for an explanation. Well, there were 2 mock-up airplanes framing the site, and the statues seemed to have a fresh coat of paint, obviously a well-kept monument of military importance. I was so intrigued I cut my ride short and returned home with pictures in hand to investigate what I found. What I found was a historical event that could have affected the sovereignty of the whole country of Thailand, and how the freedom we now take for granted could have easily been very different if not for a group of determined people 80 years ago. As it turned out, the Seri Thai Monument also had a museum in the city of Phrae, which we visited. Clearly a seldom visited place that alludes to a time forgotten. In the years leading up to World War II, Japan was already quietly positioning itself across Southeast Asia, and Thailand was no exception. Long before open conflict began, Japanese troops and agents moved into the country under the guise of diplomacy, trade, and transit rights. Rail lines, ports, and airfields were surveyed. Relationships were cultivated. By the time the war came, Japan already knew Thailand's terrain, infrastructure, and vulnerabilities. On the morning of December 8, 1941, almost simultaneously with the attack on Pearl Harbor, Japanese forces launched coordinated landings along Thailand's coastline and crossed the border from French Indochina. Thai military units resisted in several locations, and fighting broke out in the south and along key transport routes. However, the Thai armed forces were quickly overwhelmed by Japan's speed, numbers, and preparation. Within hours, the Thai government ordered a ceasefire, calculating that continued resistance would bring devastation rather than victory. Japan's occupation followed swiftly and efficiently. Northern Thailand became strategically important, both as a supply corridor and as a buffer for Japanese operations in Burma. Airfields were seized and expanded, including the commandeering of the Phrae airport, which was used to support military logistics and regional control. Roads, railways, and towns across the north fell under Japanese supervision, with Thai authorities compelled to cooperate under occupation. Yet, beneath the surface, resistance was growing. Out of this uneasy alliance emerged the Seri Thai Movement, a covert network of civilians, officials, students, and military officers who rejected Japan's domination. Operating in secrecy, Seri Thai members gathered intelligence, sabotaged Japanese operations where possible, and maintained clandestine contact with allies. This underground movement eventually received support from the United States, including training, communications equipment, and coordination through the Office of Strategic Services. In January 1942, under intense Japanese pressure, the Thai government formally declared war on Great Britain and the United States. The act itself revealed the deep divisions within Thailand. The Thai ambassador to the United States refused to deliver the declaration of war to Washington, arguing that it was made under duress and did not reflect the will of the Thai people. As a result, the United States never officially considered itself at war with Thailand. The situation with Britain unfolded very differently. The declaration of war was received, and the United Kingdom treated Thailand as a hostile power throughout the remainder of the conflict. This distinction would later have profound consequences. Japan occupied Thailand until the final days of the war. Following the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and Japan's announcement of surrender in August 1945, Japanese forces in Thailand laid down their arms. The occupation ended almost as suddenly as it began. In the aftermath, the Allies disagreed sharply on how Thailand should be judged. The United States, influenced heavily by the action of the Seri Thai Movement and the refusal of its ambassador to recognize the declaration of war, viewed Thailand as a coerced participant rather than an enemy. Washington pushed for leniency and supported Thailand's reintegration into the post-war international community. Britain, however, took a far harsher view. Seeing Thailand as a wartime collaborator, the UK demanded reparations, including large rice shipments, and imposed political economic conditions before normal relations could be restored. Thailand's wartime story, therefore, is not one of simple occupation or collaboration, but of survival, compromise, and quiet resistance. Caught between a rising imperial power and a global war it could not escape, yet never fully accepted as its own. Today in Northern Thailand, and in its quiet provinces like Phrae, it is easy to overlook how deeply the Second World War once reached into everyday life. The roads that now wind peacefully through the rice fields and mountains were once military corridors. Airfields like Phrae, now largely forgotten, were commandeered and repurposed for war. Villages that appeared timeless were drawn, however briefly, into global conflict far beyond their borders. For the people of the North, the war was not fought on distant beaches or in grand naval battles, but in occupation, scarcity, and uneasy coexistence. Japanese soldiers were a daily presence, and survival depended on discretion rather than defiance. Yet even here, far from Bangkok and the centers of power, quiet resistance existed through the information passed in whispers, through cooperation with the Seri Thai network, and through a shared understanding that the occupation was temporary, not accepted. Phrae and the surrounding northern provinces stand today, reminders of how history often leaves its deepest marks in places that rarely appear in textbooks. The absence of monuments does not mean the absence of memory. Beneath the calm pace of modern life lies a past shaped by difficult choices, silent courage, and a nation's determination to endure without losing itself. In Northern Thailand, history does not shout, it lingers. They opened the museum for us, cost 50 baht each. I have no idea when the last person came to this museum. But all I can say, I'm extremely happy and lucky to be living here in Thailand. And I walk through this museum and I think to myself how easy things could have been very different if just a few people had not done what they did. And it's quite possible that I wouldn't be here because of it. Unfortunately, history has a tendency to repeat itself because we tend to forget. And here we are in this museum that probably hasn't had anyone in it for months. They look after it, but again, this is Thailand. And until next time, remember, don't give up.